Hello and welcome to In the Studio. I'm your host, Alex Silva. Joining me today are Christy Freese and Jodi Liederman. They're of Davis Parent University, and Christy's the current chair, and Jodi is the founding chair and the outreach coordinator. I got that correct?
Correct.
All right. So they're here today to tell us all about Davis Parent University. So why don't we start off, what is Davis Parent University?
Davis Parent University is a group of volunteers here in Davis, all parents, and we have a representative from every school in Davis, including the junior highs and the high school. And we all meet once a month, and our mission is to plan parent ed events for the parents and caregivers and teachers and administrators in Davis. Our events are high caliber and they're free of charge, and we hold them at the Brunel Theater on the DHS campus. So Davis Parent University, is our group of volunteers that work together to create these events.
Okay.
And we really try with these events to give it kind of that Oprah feel, so that when people come on a Friday, we usually have it on a Friday evening, we have it at the Brunel Theater, so it gives that real, you feel like you're on set like we are tonight, right? And we really want our attendees to really feel like they're able to sit back, enjoy, and learn while being entertained. So when we do choose the people, the authors or the speakers, we really choose for their ability to share knowledge, information, but making sure they have the delivery to actually add the humor and
so that people don't get bored. It's not just
exactly.
a lecture.
No,
Right,
it's not just a lecture.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jodi, you're the founding chair. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the history of Davis Parent University and what was the inspiring event that sort of triggered you to have the idea of creating Davis Parent University?
And there was an event, actually, Alex. Yeah, we realized, as Christy said, that the PTAs, going back years ago when it first started, their mission was to provide parent education to parents, students, and teachers so that we all work to develop the whole child. And over the last decade, the PTAs have really become kind of a fundraising machine. And we've been trying nationally, trying to help, our PTAs bring in, more programs, which means parent ed has been put aside. So a group
Lack
of
of
us,
money.
lack of money. Yeah. And so one of the missions for parent PTA was kind of being put aside. So we, a group of us felt that there was a real need to bring parent education to the forefront again. And there was an event 6 years ago where a group of women brought in a film called Race to Nowhere. And it was a film where we had 550 attendees show up. And it was a film about how children are K through 12, going through this stress, anxiety. The film basically pointed the fingers at the school district and at the parents.
And the film really instilled fear in parents, because it was a lot about the pressure we put on our kids to achieve, and then what do they do with that once they leave our homes? That's the race, and where is it taking them? Yeah.
And that, exactly, and that film was a film, as it was like a rude awakening, but it had no answers. The film had no tips. So parents went out, and in Davis, you don't want to get your parents stressed out because they're already
a little
wired
high
up,
energy.
a little high energy. So this film, really had the parents wired, and we, this is how we kind of all came together, and we said, now we need to bring in a speaker, a lecture that will give us answers or at least tools. And one of the featured speakers, or one of the actors, or she was actually interviewed in Race to Nowhere. Her name is Madeline Levine, and she's a Stanford professor. She is a clinical psychologist. She wrote the book Price of Privilege and How to Teach Your Children Well. She was in this film, Race to Nowhere, and we called her and said, we need you to come and give us a talk and teach us and share with us maybe what we can do as Davis parents. And that's what got the ball rolling.
So she was your first guest, and then you started
And she was
inviting
a
you.
wildly popular guest.
So we brought her back a second time in the last 5 years. Exactly.
Yeah, her books are bestsellers, and she's really knowledgeable.
Okay.
yeah.
And why did you feel like this lecture presentation? You came up with that as the best format to address the needs of the community and the education aspect, rather than
A workshop or something.
a workshop or something.
Yeah.
And we've tried both.
We've tried both.
We've had
so
a weekend workshop that was longer in length, but it seems that we get the most attendance and the best feedback for our Friday evening events.
So this is an idea you've come to, not just something right off the bat. You said
No.
it's gonna be a
Right,
lecture
right.
series.
Davis Parent University is in its this is its sixth year, is that
We
correct?
are going into, this is at the end of the 5th year, so next
Okay.
school year would be the 6th year?
Sixth year.
Yeah, right.
So it's kind of trial and error. We've decided this works the best. We usually get a good crowd of 450 to 500 at Brunel.
Yeah, and I think we kind of just, if it works, don't fix it, right?
Right.
And this really, people are they're able to come in on a Friday night, come with their partners, husband, wives, significant others, and after 2 hours, walk away with a notebook of, ideas, suggestions. So it was
From an
like from an expert, and it was just kind of like didn't have to give up a whole weekend, didn't have to give up a Saturday. And Davis families, like many, college towns like ours, they don't stop on weekends. They have sports to bring their kids to, and they have activities. I mean, so if we can get them for 2 hours, which we seem to be able to do, usually get 400 to 500, as Christy said, I guess so we just are kind of going with what works. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to jump ahead a little here then.
Sure.
So I know that decide what topics you want to have. How do you go about that? Because that kind of ties into what you just said about.
Yeah, I can speak to
Developing
that
it.
a little bit.
Okay.
We've tried a few different ways. Last fall, we did an online survey through SurveyMonkey, and we surveyed all the families in Davis Joint Unified School District. And we got, I think, about 600 responses, and we rated
Yeah,
topics.
which is great. Yeah.
So the number one topic was anxiety, how to help your children with anxiety, which is scary and a little sad. But
So that survey worked, actually.
the survey worked great.
Yeah,
Right away
yeah.
we addressed that, and we had an event last year on that topic that was very well attended. So the survey really helped us kind of narrow in on not just what our committee thought was important, but what
Right.
the community thought was important. We're in the midst of just creating a new survey right now that we're going to actually pass out at our next event on March 21st. And then we will follow that up with another online survey, because people's needs and changes and topics differ a little bit from year to year. So we really want to kind of
That's how you keep in touch with the
Yeah,
pulse of the community.
yeah, we want to bring people that speak to our community and that really help parents walk away with some we call them nuggets in our collaborative, some nuggets to take home and actually use when you're parenting. Because parenting, when I found out I was going to be a parent, I thought, oh, it's common sense, I'm gonna be fine at this because I have common sense. And parenting is not common sense. You're an uncle, it's you need some help in making all these little decisions. And so that's what we're trying to provide people with, and ourselves.
And ourselves, exactly. We walk away empowered ourselves working on a project like this. So it's very.
So, how then do you select the speakers? You have a topic that's community driven. This is what the parents want to find out about. And so then how do you figure out who the best speaker is to address that topic?
Good question. So if I may, I'll
Go
start.
right ahead.
Yeah. So basically, we do our research. We have each committee member propose in writing, an image, a bio, and usually a video of the potential candidate. We like to have 6 to 10 candidates as choices. We have in the past, and we'd like to continue finding authors. We like to go with the New York Times best-selling author. So why not get someone who has a book to sell that night, who is on a speaking circuit, and who actually not just has information, but we really look for a candidate who has experience on stage speaking to a couple of hundred people.
It's entertaining.
And as we said earlier, right,
to be
entertaining.
entertaining.
So the process is propose with the image, and then as we watch either it's on YouTube or it's a video, we make our decisions again. So it's not just the topic. Again, it's all in the presentation. So yeah, that's how we've done it in the past.
And the way we find those speakers is just through a lot of research. I mean, I went on Amazon and looked to see, what books were coming out on parent education.
Right,
And
who the experts are.
Who the experts are and what the reviews are of the books. And then you look at a little video clip of them and you think, this person would be great on stage, or no, this person is just theoretical, So.
Right. There's been a couple that have been much too theoretical, so we say thanks anyway. Yeah.
So what sort of topics have you already covered in the past? Each year you're doing how many lectures?
Two.
lectures.
We've been doing like a winter and a spring.
Was there 3 last year?
There was one. We could have done.
And we like to sponsor smaller
Maybe we
ones
did do
too,
some last
that
year.
are at various schools that are less people. We help out financially and with planning and staffing of smaller ones as well.
Okay.
But some
Yeah.
past topics.
I'll hit the first 2 years. You can
Okay,
hit the
good.
next
Yeah,
couple.
because I wasn't there.
The first year, we brought in 2 local experts who are nationally recognized, Liz Applegate from UC Davis on health and nutrition, and we brought in from Berkeley, Christy Carter, who wrote the book Raising Happiness. And all of the topics have to do with the whole child. So we try not to narrow it down, like if it's, issues with ADHD or,
Something that
issues
all
with,
parents can
we
use for
try
their-
to keep it more general and more about how to develop in a positive way. We try to keep everything positive. So Christine Carter came out with this book, Raising Happiness. I mean, there couldn't be anything better than that title. And that's really what launched us after Madeline Levine came. So we used that. Dr. Mitchell Adler, who's a Cesar Chavez parent, who's a clinical psychologist in town. He talked about emotional intelligence. So we put actually 3 speakers on that one day, Liz, Michael, and Christine as the featured speaker. So we've tried things like that, and that was very successful a couple of years ago. Can you think of?
Yeah, last year we had an interesting one that was on drugs and alcohol use in our youth. And we had a doctor from Kaiser, and we had a man who, I'm forgetting his name, but he wrote a book on addiction. So that topic, I think it was a popular topic. It was a little more dark than we usually go with DPU, because we really try to be kind of a positive, helpful, group for parents.
But it was chosen on the survey.
Yes,
we
yes,
asked
we
if they
were-
wanted to learn
yes.
about drugs and alcohol.
Yes.
These issues
and
exist.
They exist, and
Absolutely.
even in Davis.
Absolutely.
Yes.
There was one on social networking on technology and how that
Parenting
affects
in the
your
information age.
parenting in the information
Yeah,
age.
that was a real good one with Pam Maury, who was our former assistant superintendent here in Davis. And before she retired, she did a great job on the information technology.
So various topics, and we're always looking for input from the community, new topics that people are interested in. We just got an email today, in fact, about the homework issue in Davis, and can Davis Parent University bring us a speaker and an expert on how much homework kids should be doing?
Now, this could be conflicting. So what we try to do is we try to align ourselves with DJUSD. DJUSD is one of our biggest sponsors. They support all of our work. Christy and I, we go in, we show the book, we show the authors of who we want to bring in the following year, that year, and then they endorse it. And if we get their endorsement, it just helps in many, many ways. And
You don't want to be in conflict.
if we
with
bring
what
in
the
something,
school
there's been
district's
things
doing.
like that. If we bring something like that, if the district is not aligned with that, that could hurt our reputation and, again, lose
You
the
want to be
support.
working together and not at
Absolutely,
odds.
collaboratively.
Okay. Well, that kind of leads us into the next thing is how are you partnering with other organizations in the community and DJUSD, which I think you just addressed how you're working with DJUSD.
They were one of our first sponsors, one of our first supporters, partners, I should say, not sponsors.
Right.
Definitely
Partner.
not sponsor, no, partner.
Supporter.
But we do have supporters. We have sponsors and supporters through the community. You want to share how we kind of find that?
Davis Media Access is a big supporter of ours.
Yay! Thank you, Davis Media Access.
Davis Media Access houses our website, which is very helpful, and we have all of our lectures are videoed, professionally videotaped by Davis Media Access and DCTV, and then parents that can't make it to the actual event can go onto the website and view those lectures. So that's been a really, really good thing that's been added in the last few years because of the help of DMA and
you have a lot of donors that help contribute to fund bringing in the speakers.
So the speakers are not free. Very
right?
good point. These speakers are thousands of dollars. I mean, they go for $12,000, these speakers, because we're getting these nationally recognized speakers. And we have always been able to work out some kind of package where they, we sell their books, but we still have to pay. We still have to pay thousands. We're not going to say how much. And so fortunately, the community sponsors like real estate agents, we can't name any names tonight, but fitness centers, doctors' offices, any kind we business in Davis that supports the whole child.
And organizations.
Individuals.
Yes. And we are more than happy to name those advertisers in our publications and on stage at our events. So if anyone is interested in being a community sponsor, please get in touch with us.
We'll be on the flyers.
But I will say that most of our funding for DPU comes from the PTAs and PTOs.
Of course, we should mention.
Each one of our representatives goes to the PTA meetings and says, here's what our school's PTA donated last year. Can we do the same this year? And we ask for about $1 per student. So all schools in Davis, even St. James now, we got on board this year, are donating toward Davis Parent University.
So they have a line item, actually. The PTAs all have a line item now for parent education, and it's community-wide parent ed. So we over the last 5 years.
And you mentioned earlier, but these lectures are free to the community.
They are.
Free to the parents. So
absolutely.
And that is why the speakers actually work out
an honorarium.
The honorarium. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. The honorarium, because they know we are not charging the attendees. If we were charging, then their prices would go up.
Proportionally.
Right.
We want to make it accessible to every parent in Davis.
Right. I have to mention in regards to sponsors that we have been so fortunate. We are so grateful that we actually have a moderator for every event. I think that's what really adds the panache and the sophistication.
And I've noticed the same name almost every year.
Pamela Wu, we love you, Pamela Wu. She is an NPR reporter. She is the UC Davis Director of Communications for the Law Department. I mean, she's an amazing woman. And she volunteers. She has a little baby, Eric, who's 3, right? And so she is learning for her baby. And so she does this for community service. She does this because she loves what we're doing. And we are so grateful to have her. Prior to Pamela Wu, we had Palace Hoope, who is in a lot of our videos, if you go back to a couple of years ago. And Palace was an anchorwoman for Channel 13, lives in Davis with her children. And she was amazing, but she moved to New Zealand. So we don't have her anymore.
But it just shows that at so many levels that you're tying into the Davis community. I mean, you have speakers that are from Davis, moderators from Davis, and the sponsors. It's a very locally oriented.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So where can, I guess we've said it several times, but where can people see the past presentations that have already happened? Maybe there's a topic that was already covered that some parent would like to find out about?
Yes.
We hope so.
So I think you'll see on your screen the actual website, but our website is housed at the Davis Media Access DCTV website. And if you just type in Davis Parent University or DPU, it will take you to our webpage, and you can see our past lectures by topic on the website. And on the website, you'll also see, first off, our flyer for our new event, our event that's coming up on March 21st.
Next Friday night.
Yes. So, so I think that answers your question.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That pretty much covers that.
Okay.
And we also have an email address. So we would love input from all of you out there to let us know, and I think the email address will show too on here. If you have any suggestions, ideas of speakers locally, nationally, And usually, again, it's tied in with a book. If you have a favorite book that you've read on parent education or topics, right, please email us on that email address. Yeah.
Okay. And of course you have a Facebook. That's
Of
pretty
course,
much
we're on
everybody,
Facebook as
right?
well, yes.
Oh, you should mention who runs our Facebook.
Shelley Dowling runs our Facebook,
Thank you,
and she does a
Shelley.
great job. She
Yeah.
posts all sorts of cool parent ed articles on there too for people to check out. So
That's great.
I should say too that we partner with Avid Reader as well here
Oh,
locally.
yes.
We do have our meetings usually at Avid Reader. They let us use their space for our monthly meetings, and then they bring in our books and they sell them the night of the event with the author signing. So
And they set up a display weeks before, sometimes months before, of the featured book, the featured speaker. Yeah, Avid Reader has just been an incredible partner. And they give us back 10%
of the book sales.
of the book sales
as a donation.
from that night and from the weeks prior. So, I mean, we get a couple $100 after every show. That's right.
Okay. So volunteer service. DPU, you guys are volunteers, right?
We're volunteers.
So how
I
does
think
this,
volunteers.
you know,
I'm not
this
bringing
a
home a
lot
paycheck.
of Davis is about volunteerism. So,
It
like,
is.
how does this fulfill that?
question.
I think Jodi and I have
because this is
both, yeah.
obviously a lot of work.
It's
I mean, you're meeting once a month. You're
It's a fair
putting out
amount of
flyers.
work,
You're
yeah.
arranging speakers, doing
Yeah.
surveys.
I will just say, because Jodi was already one of the founding members of this, and I just joined last year as a representative from Cesar Chavez, and Jodi came to me and said, would you be interested in chairing Davis Parent University next year, with my help, of course. And I thought about it, and it's the most rewarding volunteer opportunity that I've had in Davis, and I've had quite a few. I've coached softball and been on PTA, and I love the fact that I'm learning and I'm a student, and so I get to go to these great events and take home information that helps me be a more thoughtful parent. And so for me, I just think also it's not one school or one sport. It's kind of for the good of the community and for the good of my kids. And if we can start making little changes, positive changes in our parenting and our families, and then the community, it's just a really, really positive thing. I'm pretty passionate about it.
I ditto with the passion. You know, and for me, when we started this, I had a child going into junior high. I now have a 6th and a 10th grader, Elliot and Ethan. And so I was able to, as Christy, I've always volunteered with the PTAs, and I always have done, you know, with the auctions and the fundraising. And I got to a point where I said, my goodness, how can I work for both schools? I have kids in, you know, Pioneer, and I have a kid at Harper, and he's going to soon be in high school. How can I help, like, their schools and feel like I'm doing for both? And there was no way being on a PTA, right? Because that's just for the
per
one school,
school.
right? So this was an opportunity, because this is community-wide. So I thought, goodness, this is a good bridge to be able to be a parent, working for the community, working for your children, and it's for all schools. So that was kind of what turned me on to this. And as Christy said, it's just, I'm learning, and there's nothing cooler than doing a volunteer job where you actually can walk away and say, you know, I really got something out of that, you know. So.
And when you started, I mean, you're playing pretty much to a packed house every time. Did you ever think that it would be so successful for so long that every year you'd be packing?
Yes.
I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed at just the level of commitment parents in this town have. You know, they're not in survival mode. They're really trying to be better parents and encourage their kids to do everything that they can and be a productive member of society. And so it does surprise me that people will spend their Friday night in an auditorium, you know, learning about parent education, but I'm so impressed that they do.
Well, we give them a good show. I have to say that it's not in a cafeteria, and we really, the lighting, the acoustics, the speaker, we spend months putting this together, and it's a state-of-the-art event. And the parents, I think, if you put on a good, as they say, people will come back if you put on a good show. One bad show, and I'll tell you, right away, you know, they're going to say, well, I don't know if I really need to go, you know, to the next one. So each event is crucial to be successful at, so that we know if it's good, we know they're going to come back for the next one. And again, they're only twice a year.
And the last thing you want to do is go to your kid's school or go to coffee or go to your job and have all the parents talking about this great thing that you missed.
Right.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So you want to be
exactly.
part of the conversation and know what happened. So
Okay. So
should we talk about our next
Let's
event?
wrap up by just a brief. You have a lecture coming up, as we mentioned, on the 21st, and the
We
topic
do. The
and the
topic
speaker?
is very timely. It's on youth sports. We're bringing in an author named John O'Sullivan. Wrote this book, Changing the Game. The book just came out in September. It's his first book, and he is a longtime soccer coach, soccer player, parent, and he just wrote this book about really focusing with youth sports, focusing on the kids and whether they're actually performing to their highest level, but also whether they're enjoying it and if they're becoming a better person at the process, not just the competition part of it. So I'm really excited about him coming. He is over the moon about coming to our event because he is a new author. But he's been doing a speaking circuit, and he was interviewed by Huffington Post and TED Talks.
He'll be on NPR next Friday.
And exciting,
set that up.
a point too is we have a panel of local coaches to kind of bring the conversation back into our Davis community. So we have Corinne Motakaitis, she's a swim coach here in town, and we have Ashley Uden, who is a longtime soccer coach,
Founder of DY.
and Steve Smite, former football coach, and Richard Bacciarini of Bacciarini Martial Arts. So we're kind of covering the youth sports arena.
And
March
more
21st.
information about that can be found on the website.
Yes,
Which
yes,
we'll have
7
up.
to 9 Brunel.
Yeah, please join us.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Christy and Jodi, for coming in and joining us in the studio. And
you
we'll
for
see
having
you
us.
again
Thank you, Alex.
next week.
Thank you for having us.